September 19th, 2022 marks the 25th anniversary of the death of Rich Mullins. I was only a few months old at the time that Rich died, and so I didn't get to experience his life, his ministry, or his music during his actual lifetime, but I did come across his stuff a few years back, and I like a lot of what he has to say, especially in his songs. And a lot of the different Christian artists that I gravitate towards nowadays also attest to being really impacted by this guy. And so what I wanted to do over the course of the next 7 days leading up to the anniversary of his death is I wanted to spend some times breaking down 7 different Rich Mullins songs. We're not going to go lyric by lyric or anything like that, but what we're going to do is this. I'm going to play a cover of a Rich Mullins song, not because I in any way think that I'm better than Rich, because I could never be that, but simply because if I played one of his versions of the songs, I'd have to deal with copyright stuff, and I don't want to deal with that, and so y'all are going to have to be stuck listening to my voice, and it's not going to be a polished version of this song. I am simply playing this at the piano in my living room, recording it into my phone. It's not polished at all, but in a way, I think that's kind of what Rich would have liked. And so we're going to play a cover of the song, and then after that, I'm going to give my brief thoughts on why I like this song in particular, and maybe share some particular lyrics that really stick out to me, and that's going to be it. Without further ado, here is 25 Years Without Rich.
There's more that rises in the morning than the sun, more that shines in the night than just the moon. There's more than just this fire here that keeps me warm, in a shelter that is larger than this room. There's a loyalty that's deeper than mere sentiment, and a music higher than the songs that I can sing. The stuff on earth competes for the allegiance I owe only to the giver of all good things. So if I stand, let me stand on the promise that you will pull me through. And if I can't, let me fall on the grace that first brought me to you. And if I sing, let me sing for the joy that is born in me these songs. But if I weep, let it be as a man who is longing for his home. There's more that dances on the prairies than the wind, more that pulses in the ocean and the tide. There's a love that is fiercer than the love between friends, more gentle than a mother's when her baby's at her side. There's a loyalty that's deeper than mere sentiment, and a music higher than the songs that I can sing. The stuff on earth competes for the allegiance I owe only to the giver of all good things. So if I stand, let me stand on the promise that you will pull me through. But if I can't, let me fall on the grace that first brought me to you. And if I sing, let me sing for the joy that is born in me these songs. But if I weep, let it be as a man who is longing for his own. So if I stand, let me stand on the promise that you will pull me through. And if I can't, let me fall on the grace that first brought me to you. And if I sing, let me sing for the joy that is born in me these songs. But if I weep, let it be as a man who is longing for his home.
All right, so the lyrics of this song are just absolutely fantastic from beginning to end. I think that of Rich's music, this might be the song that is just a delight to listen to every single time, because I interpret it differently almost every time I listen to it, just because there's so many different layers of ambiguity and nuance to every single line. Because in the verses, you have this person who is basically just looking at creation around them and picking up on the fact that there is a God and that we can perceive certain attributes about this God, both inherently but also experientially, I guess. And I don't even know, honestly. I still have to analyze these lyrics and try to understand it because it's addressing so many different topics. The whole point is that there's more to life than just the things around us, and that the things on earth are constantly trying to distract us from that higher thing, right? That is really the main point of the verses, right? There's more that rises in the morning than the sun. There's more that shines in the night than just the moon. There's more than just this fire here that keeps me warm and a shelter that is larger than this room. There's a loyalty that's deeper than mere sentiment, and a music higher than the song that I can sing. The stuff on earth competes for the allegiance I owe only to the giver of all good things. Right? So the person is wrestling through this saying, hey, I know there's more to life than just the stuff around me, but everything within me wants to focus on the things around me. The stuff on earth competes for the allegiance that I owe only to him, right? And he's referencing the book of James, right? The giver of all good things. And I just love that. Like, that's the perfect setup for this. And then you go into the chorus, and it starts talking about this kind of conflict between the believer, right? If I stand, let me stand on the promise that you will pull me through. But if I can't, let me fall on the grace that first brought me to you, right? So we've got this conflict and this tension between faith and grace, standing on the promises of God and sometimes getting distracted by the world. And that is really the tension that's being pulled in this song. And I absolutely love it because it's got this evident call to obedience and this call to holiness, but it also has this desperate and deep reliance on the grace of God, which is really cool. Because typically we are prone to extremes in the Christian world, right? We have this severe call to holiness that often leads to legalism, or we have this super over-reliance and abuse of God's grace that leads to total just living for yourself, right? And so we have these two ends of the spectrum, but I think Rich perfectly holds that tension in this song where he says, yes, we are called to be holy, but we can't expect to be perfect. And so there are going to be times whenever we fail. And rather than just getting so, like really, whenever you're so hyped up on self-hatred and beating yourself up over your failures, that's kind of another form of idolatry because you're just not relying on God's grace in another form or fashion, right? I'm not saying that we need to hop on this whole like self-love, self-motivation, all that. I'm not getting on that thing. I'm not getting on that train. But I am saying that sometimes whenever you're too hard on yourself, you're actually focusing too much on your own self-righteousness, if that makes sense. And I'm not in any way trying to lessen the call to righteousness because I think that we already have the general Christian church doing that enough as it is. No, we are called to be righteous, but whenever we don't just fall upon the grace of God and move on past that failure, and whenever we just like marinate in it, we're actually kind of just worshiping ourselves in a different way because we're making it seem like our own failure is greater than the grace of God. And yes, we should repent, and yes, we should be sorrowful. We see that throughout the Bible, but we just need to fall upon the grace that first brought us to him in the first place, right? As soon as we can, we need to get back to him. We need to repent and we need to move on. And then we go back to living for him and we try to give him the allegiance that only he deserves. And so, like I said, I mean, then you can go into the next verse. You can cover all that stuff too. I'm not going to do that because we would just be going way longer than I'm wanting these videos to be. The lyrics are fantastic. right? It is talking about how, yes, there is this creation that God has given us. It's a beautiful creation, and there's goodness, and there's beauty, and there's truth to be found throughout it. But sometimes we get so focused on the creation that we forget the creator, and we get so focused on the gift that we forget the giver. But he's the one who deserves our allegiance. We don't owe our allegiance to the creation or to the gift. We owe our allegiance to the creator and to the giver of all good things. And I think that is so beautiful, and I could keep talking about this forever, but instead, I'm going to wrap it up. I will see y'all tomorrow for more Rich Mullins. Thank you so much for watching this. Be sure to keep a smile on your face, and don't let anybody steal your joy.
You read a verse, you sing a hymn, the money's in the plate. Sundays you mark out for him, but even then you show up late. You bought the shirt, you wear the cross, but sin throughout the week. For 30 shekels and a noose, you kiss him on the cheek.